Well, hello. This is Happy Valley Hobbies, and these are hobbies that make me happy. Looks like everything is hunky dory, I guess. Uh, let's see. Oh, I got a new message saying that video backgrounds are now supported by the in the studio. Not sure how. Oh, there's a lot of stuff that I don't usually use on StreamYard. And that's one of the reasons why I also don't turn around and pay for the premium stuff, because I'm barely using half of the free stuff. Well, hello. Good evening, Train Man 1. Thank you for coming in. All right, let's see. Let's go back to here. Well, I'll tell you. Well, this weekend's been sort of been interesting because, well, this is the first time I've done a state holiday. Well, hello there, Andy. Thank you for coming in. Well, the thing is, I don't think New York State has a state holiday, as far as I'm remembering, because that was the state that I grew up in. Vermont apparently does have a state holiday. It's called Bennington Battle Day, the Battle of Bennington Day, which a lot of people are starting to say is probably a little bit mislabeled. It should be the Battle for Bennington, because it was not fought in Bennington. It was actually fought near, I think it's Hoosick Falls. But apparently, the Bennington, the supply depot in Bennington is what the target was. They never got into Vermont. And the thing is that it was also, from my understanding, it was before the current border was put in, because there was a dispute at the time with, if I remember correctly, there was a dispute between, does Vermont exist or not? New York State claimed. It was very odd because at the time, New York and New Hampshire both claimed the area where Vermont is. I believe the New York claim was more legitimate than New Hampshire's, because there was the one over the New Hampshire governor at the time was not what you want to call a very upstanding citizen. What he wound up doing was basically the New Hampshire grants that he granted, and he grant these lands and all that to people who would come in and all that. They would pay for it and all that, but it wasn't him to grant. So, and then New York turned around and this was long before the Revolutionary War. People in New York found out about it, and the ones in New York were selling the same exact property and not. And they would kick out the people, or try to kick out the people that bought the land. But it's complicated. I mean, it's complicated because here somebody's selling land that's not theirs, but it's also not theirs to begin with because the indigenous people. So It was a very large mess. And during the Civil Revolutionary War, um, there were times that uh, people had, that lived in the Vermont area said, "Hey, it's like, we'll fight too and all that, but you know, make us our own colony or state, basically." Uh, in fact, they were apparently Vermont was a republic for a while on its own, but nobody recognized it. I mean, they did everything a state would do. They minted their own coins. They had their own postal service. They had everything in place, but nobody recognized it. They even went so far at one time to ask Canada, it's like, "Hey, can we be part of Canada just so we're not part of New York?" But it wasn't until Kentucky wanted to be statehood. They had to keep the balance. So it's like, all right, well, we'll let you be your own, the 14th state. In fact, the Vermont flag, the Vermont Republic flag, is still used by the National Guard, which is it's a green flag with a blue insignia, I think it's called. It's basically the blue part of the U.S. flag, and they had 14 random stars on it, and that's the Vermont Republic flag. Apparently, there was a short time there where they were talking about doing something along the lines of succeeding, pretty much like how they did the same thing with. There's a whole bunch of talk about Vermont succeeding and all that, but with the second least amount of population, only Wyoming has lesser population than Vermont. Even Washington, D.C., that city has a higher population than Vermont does. But that's the quick history lesson on Vermont that I know about. It's like not living in Vermont my whole life. There's things I might miss. Also, for myself, I think I need a new chair because this it wound up going that way. It's like, I mean, I've had the chair for years and all that, but apparently I must stretch back too much or something like that. The armrests have screwed up a while ago. But right now, since I'm unemployed, or underemployed would be more accurate, I can't afford a new chair at this point. But the funny thing is that I am trying to change that. My assumption is that I'm getting job interviews, so I guess my resume and that portion is good. But maybe my interviewing is not as up to par. Don't know. So last week I had scheduled to have a to do mock interviews tomorrow. But the thing is that Jalopy is like, they're not really giving me hours and all that, so I picked tomorrow. Then Thursday afternoon, they turn around and give out the schedule. And apparently, they turn. I'm assuming that it's just coincidence. It's just that they happen to have me scheduled pretty much the same time as I have the mock interview. And because of the state holiday, which was on Friday, the offices were open on Friday. So I, couldn't tell them that, hey, it's like they've decided to. Yeah, I did send an email saying that I had to reschedule and all that. But what my plan is to pop in at 10 o'clock, what my postal appointment is, and then find a way to reschedule it and then go to work. Well, hello there, Zoe. Thank you for coming in. One of the things that that StreamYard had suggested was, which I have to remember to change the title because I forgot an F. Is to, it says, it's like to say, say hello to people that are normally, watch it in the rerun. And I'm like, I don't know who usually watches in the rerun. So, I would have to say, if you are watching it as a rerun, leave a comment, and then maybe I'll say, hopefully remember to say hi when you're there. So, all right, it's been a little over 10 minutes. Let's switch over to the other camera. All right. All right, the last thing I have done I have both the drivers and the front pilot re-gauged. However, it seems that this the rear wheel is not on the axle right, and since it's the one with the rubber tire, I'm gonna see about replacing it. And that's going to require disassembling a second locomotive. I would say, unfortunately, in order to have flanged wheels on all if I want to make a locomotive that has flanged wheels on all the drivers, it's going to require 3 locomotives, because basically, you have the double flange drivers in the front, you have the blind drivers in the center, and then you have the rubber tired one in the back. So in order to have all flanged wheels, that requires 3 locomotives, because you got to basically take off the I think it's on the rear one where they normally have them. Hello there, Deep Run Railroad Mike. Another one that's been de-drivered, I guess. This was the first one, which as you can see, I put back on the blind drivers because, well, so you want to take it completely apart. There's this one I did completely take off the wheels. Where did I put? Here we are. Okay, that's just realized I did the wrong one because this one has black drivers. Which one has red? So let's put that over there. Because I have a whole bunch of these. I guess they're called Dixie Bells. Yeah, it might be gremlins all over the place. All right. Alright, that one. Alrighty then, it looks like I've ran out of red wheels. That was black. Apparently I only had 2 locomotives with red drivers. Now I do have other drivers. The reason why I can't use them is because they only have thing is, the way these are set up is one side is insulated and the other side is not. So even though I have extra flanged wheels, they are not insulated. And then you can tell by the, I'm not quite sure if you can tell, but you see a very faint white insulator on that. And that's what I would need. But since I do not have that one, all right. So I guess we're gonna have to go black on there. See on how that one has the. Not quite sure you can see, but there's the that has the white ring. This one does not, and this is the one we need. So. Turn around. Well, basically, what I'm planning, basically doing with this is sort of like making a prototype, just to making sure that, well, I can do it and it works. Just pop that out. So this is going to have one black driver for a while. let's take this out. I'm not sure what caused this one not to fit right. But also, I had thought that originally that these were all, the axles were going to be 1 inch wide. But it does not seem to be the case. Because when I did the pilot truck, it wound up being a little bit narrower than that. But I'm not sure if that's because of the wheels or other things. But let's take that out. Interesting. Need to unloosen the back here so I can get the rear axle out. And it still doesn't want to. Alright, gotta take the whole thing off. Yeah, I was talking to someone on Discord, and there's somebody that might be also doing, they're doing Lackawanna in 6-foot gauge. And they're turning around and modifying ASHO scale mechanisms. So hopefully I'll find out what he has done over time, and then figure out how to basically copy him, so or maybe find out that I'm doing something better. I don't know, but yeah, one of the things is that this axle has been really gummed up and all that, so I do not know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. So I am actually going to turn around and just make a new axle. I've got plenty of 1/8 brass rod. So, put that in there for now. Leave that in there so we won't lose it. Both in there. I'll put that there so that you won't get lost. All right. All right, let's take this and we'll put these back together so we don't lose these. Since I'm not working on Wednesday, as far as I know, I might be able to get on new tracks, because every third Wednesday they do. I think they're still doing it. It's called what is it now? My Build, I think it's called. And basically, it's showing off what you're doing. Also, any problems that you have come across the way and all that. And right now, my biggest question is how to re-gauge these. Uh, these look like they're, I almost want to say they look like they're pressed in, because there is, yeah, it looks like they just turned around, because those are not coming apart easy. But all right, on to making another axle. Well, thank you, Zoe. Unfortunately, I can't keep on track of the on YouTube because the monitor's over there. So I gotta remember every now and then to look over there to keep up with chat. But every now and then I forget. But as I mentioned earlier, there is somebody doing Lackawanna in 6-foot gauge. Another thing I keep on forgetting is to put a new sanding block on this. Let's see. How far I can... No, I can't move it any further. That's full extent. I'm actually glad that I wound up buying a bag of KNS stuff that random pieces and all that, because that's where I was able to find parts for. Oh, that's too far over. There we go. Yeah, I'm doing my best right now to, since I'm unemployed right now, just to use everything I can. Actually, that might be too much to take up. Let's grab the miter. And then just snip it off that way. Miter box. There it is. All right. I don't know when did I find the miter box, but I think I might have found a better way to put the wheels on, because this is just a little short. All right, let's throw that in there. I want to throw it in there. Wow, this is a lot harder than I thought. It's one of those things of needing 5 hands. Alright, nope, that didn't work because it wound up going there. Things do not go the way it's planned. Alright. Theoretic. Alright. All right. Yeah, it's not quite sure how well cheese and bacon would work, but what I have been doing, and probably changing it now that I got something larger, I was basically putting it the wheel on the vise to get the leverage in order to squish it back in together. Now the interesting thing is that the reason why I'm doing this is because the wheels on this one that I put together, the one wheel was not tight and all that, so I decided to take it completely off and make a new axle. This is sort of an experiment, basically until keep on going until I get it done right. But I'm planning on using the C-clamp next to see if that winds up being a little bit less janky to put together. Don't know if it's going to work, but until I get the axle done, won't know. Oh, this is a whole lot better than trying to do it freehand. All right. As I mentioned earlier, apparently someone's doing the Lackawanna in 6-foot gauge. And I said, I'm assuming you're making using S gauge mechanism. And he said, turned around and said, nope, using modified HO scale. So I'm assuming he's doing the same thing I'm doing. This was through Discord, and I forgot exactly which channel it was. But I would like to say that probably the smartest thing to use would be an arbor press, which I do own one, but right now it's being used by a relatively local makerspace because I didn't have a spot for it here. But yeah, if you have I think you can get a real cheap one at Harbor Freight, or I think Micro Mart actually has I want to say a model train version of an arbor press. That could work also. How far am I down? Sounds like I'm almost through. Let's see. I'm about halfway through. Can we twist it? Nope. I would say in a pinch, maybe a drill press would work because presses. What am I cutting? I am cutting a 1/8 inch brass rod, which I'm using to make another axle. This was the original axle, but I'm not quite sure what I did wrong. But it was not. It was the wheel wasn't staying on it, so that's why I'm making a new axle. Because the original, this is I'm re-gauging this to a 6-foot broad gauge locomotive, and the original. Well, this is from the pilot truck, but the original, the original axles are too narrow. Probably a smarter idea would be using what they use for axles today, what the manufacturers use, but I do not know what that is. I'm assuming it's some kind of steel. Yeah, I got this very long piece from one of the local hobby shops. This hobby shop was, if I remember correctly, it's one of those, insert hobby and there you go. The RC cars, the planes, classic model cars, puzzles. As I said, insert hobby, and that's probably one of those all I guess all you can use hobby store. All right, through enough where I can actually spin this off. Spin it off without bending. Bend the axle. It sort of made this just pointless. All right, we'll throw that there. We just need to sander down. Now all I have to do is sand the residuals off. Should put a big note saying change the sandpaper. All right, now it's not necessarily fully cleaned off, but enough that go approximately 1 inch. Up here we can score it. Now here's one of the original axles. Get this from here. As you can see, the standard gauge one is much narrower than the broad gauge one. All right, let's try this. Bring that here. Let's see if this one will work better than the C clamp. No, because it doesn't go down. This actually fits better. Now for Sidetrack Sunday, not quite sure who's it today. I want to lean towards Ray Bobel. Hello there, Dan. Thank you for coming in. And also thank you for the shout out on your channel. Uh-oh. So, well, I probably should be asking this to Gopher Girl, but how did she come up with that handle? Does she like gophers or does she exterminate them? I haven't watched TV in a while. You know, I'm sort of addicted to YouTube. The other boob tube. I was just thinking, I think I might have another sharper saw around. I mean, this is brass, which is a soft metal. I hate to see how much steel would be. I have a feeling I'm not going to get this on remounted tonight. Yeah, I think about only halfway through. It's Rick tonight. Well, thank you, Mike. The False Valley Railroad. I wonder what shenanigans he's up to. Yeah, actually, I was planning on using this as my first experiment, but I did not realize that whereas this particular style locomotive has, as you saw, the original axles went all the way through. That particular model actually has a stepped axle. My assumption is to make it easier to assemble, because you don't have to. You actually have a something to press upon, which also, when you look at the drivers, it's sort of, if you know how it's manufactured, it makes sense why it looks horrible. I'm getting there. Yeah, I try to do 6:45 to 7:45 p.m. Basically give people like a 15-minute break. It's like I notice a lot of times people, it's like they're always at the top of the hour, half hour, and all that, and they don't really. You're going from one show to the next, and sometimes you need to take a slight break. Getting there. We're past the halfway point, so it's getting thinner, or less to cut through. It's starting to get harder to cut, so let's see. Loosen that. Can we bend it? Yeah, we'll bend it a little bit. So let's grab this. Probably not the smartest thing to do. Probably having a more clear cut would be smarter. Sometimes you don't have the time. All right. Now, one good thing about this is the Ultimation sander. One of the things about that is that it has this, which is basically makes it so you can actually turn around and sand things the same length. Oh, let me do it this way. Makes everything to whatever angle that you want it to. Oh, now I gotta change it because that just wound up literally cutting it apart. So Let's readjust this. It's out of the way. Let's save up. Knock that off just a little bit. So it's on the sand of the sandpaper, not cutting into the paper. I have to say it's a nice handy sander. Probably is a lot more useful if it's bolted down. I don't have room to bolt it down, so that's why it's all over the place. All right. Ultimation also makes a cutter. Sort of hashtag not sponsored on either of these. All right, that's all nice and flat now. Let's deburr it. Now let's go on to the other side, which, as you can see, is not completely flat. Hopefully, we don't go down too far, because even though the okay, still has a little to go. But I'll do the rest off camera. It's getting close to the end. Hey, Gopher Girl, hello. Thanks for showing up. Yes, I would have to say the sander is a bit pricey. Is it worth the money? If you're doing a lot of sanding, yes. If you're using it every now and then, probably not. So yeah, if you're doing a lot of sanding, it's definitely well worth it. But especially with the repeater, I would have to say without the repeater, it's sort of it is missing that specific part. But as I said, it's pricey, yes. But also Dan, it does have a different. It does have a. Let's get the camera back. There is a use that it has that you don't that it's not obvious, but the thing's built like a tank. I mean, it's a brick, so it can be used if you need to use it as a weight to hold something down. Go for it. I mean, the thing is, I don't know how heavy it is, but I want to say I want to say it's almost like 3 pounds or something like that. I mean, it is steel and ball bearing. I mean, this thing is, let's see if I can grab it without. Yeah, I almost want to say that this is probably I mean, what you see in red, that's steel. And also everything in black is also, now this right here is steel. I think the knobs that are black that are also plastic. I think the sanding disc itself is plastic. I was originally going to say that this is aluminum, but there's a magnet on it, so it can't be yeah, there it is. Yeah, it's the whole thing. The whole thing is just steel. So this is built like, this is definitely built like a brick. I think there's 2 sets of ball bearings in here. So, I mean, as you can see, that is just. There are times that it'd be nice if it was powered. So I got a small little drill driver basically thing. It's the interesting thing is actually uses supercapacitors, not batteries, so it's easy to charge, but it doesn't last that long. But it's long enough that I just just basically put in. I forgot exactly what size it is, but that's just the regular hex bolt there. So you just put it on there and just. Unfortunately, it only goes one way. With the handle, you can go both directions. There's sometimes that you use this end instead of that end. If you need something that's like a 90 degree and very long, that's why I was using this side with the long rod. This you can infinitely adjustable. If you want to be, I want to say machinist accurate, maybe not use this, but that's just my opinion. But this is definitely built like a brick. Do not drop it on your foot. I haven't done that, but this is heavy enough. I wouldn't want to do that. That is, I want to say it's heavier. It's heavier than any HO scale locomotive. So, well, on that, not sponsored. Yeah, the guy who designed it, I met him through New Tracks. I think he pops in every now and then. Yeah, if you he has some YouTube videos on how to use it properly and all that. But yeah, I would say if you're going to do a lot of sanding, yes. If you're not going to do a lot of sanding, and if you're not going to do a lot of sanding, and you're looking for a cheaper option, there are cheaper out there. But yeah, I would have to say it's definitely for me it was a nice investment. There are times I wish I had a spot for it so I can actually bolt it down, because it's even though it's hand sized, it's not really, especially if, just like right now I'm doing brass, that probably could have benefited from actually being clamped down. That's probably one thing I should turn around and do is see a way how to mount it so I can actually slide it onto the table so it can go on there. Well, I guess it's time to slowly start ending the stream. Thanks for everyone for coming. Well, that's good to know, Gopher Girl. I'm not sure if you answered it because unfortunately there's times that because normally when I'm on the workbench, my monitor's on that side. Now it's over there. Direct, sort of kind of directly in front of me over here. So I can, and not only that, also, I have the YouTube chat, but I also have the StreamYard chat. The StreamYard chat is a little bit, everything's a little bit smaller since it's on a smaller screen, and I have to look a little bit farther, so I don't really look at it. Plus, there's the delay. But I would have. All right, I've asked Dan this question, and might as well ask you, Gopher Girl. Why did you pick Gopher Girl? Do you like gophers or do you hunt them down? It is sort of a question that Zoe, if I remember correctly, she said that her driver didn't win, but he finished the race. And since NASCAR can get pretty deadly, I would have to say that's a win. I mean, the sponsors might not want it, but one of the things I've recently came across, came across last year. Viking Girl password. Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, gophers need love too. I'm trying to think, what does a gopher look like? But all right. Well, thank you to Train Man 1, and yeah, it's kind of wind things down a little bit. Didn't get as far as I wanted to, but nice to see. Kyle Larson. All right. Kyle Larson. I would have to admit I don't know that much about NASCAR. University of Minnesota mascot. Interesting. I can't think of this. I think it's the University of Indiana's mascot. I think I would lean towards to, not because I don't know what the university does, but from my understanding, their mascot is an Alco locomotive. Because I guess they wound up getting it donated while Alco was still in business, for engineers to play with them. It has the locomotive itself, I guess, is still on campus, but when they go to games and all that, they have a locomotive built on a bus chassis. And I guess every now and then there's YouTube videos of it driving along. But yeah, it's mascots are interesting at times. All right, third time's the charm. The way I look at it, I think the world needs more love. So find your passion and spread it around. And add some silliness to it. I forgot that little part, but all right, see everyone over at False Valley Railroad.